Good morning, students. So, in today's session, we are going to discuss about the importance of business environment. Okay. So, in the previous class, we had discussed about what is business environment and features of business environment. So, in today's session, we'll be discussing about importance of business environment. So, before going with importance of business environment, we'll go through what was discussed in the previous class. So when coming to business environment, I told you that business environment means it is a sum total of all individuals, institutions and other forces that are outside the control of the business enterprise but may affect the performance of business organization. It is a sum total of all individuals, institutions and other forces that are outside the control of business enterprise but that may affect the performance. So when I was explaining this, I told you that they are the external factors which will affect which will affect the business organization. Either it will be advantage to the business organization or it will be a disadvantage to the business organization. So any changes in the what business environment will bring changes in business enterprise. So business enterprise totally works on how the business environment is. Okay, so when coming to your features, we discussed about the totality of external factors. So I told you it is sum total of all the external factors that are affecting the business organization, that are outside the business organization, which will affect on the performance of the business. So the next one was specific and general forces. So when I told you about specific and general forces, I told you that there are two forces, one is specific force and the other one is general force. So specific forces are those, or specific force is that particular force which affect the business organization directly and immediately. So specific force is that kind of force which affect the business organization directly and immediately. It affects directly and it also affects immediately. So example was one is the customer or the competitor or the supplier or investor. So any changes in this will affect the particular business organization, that too directly. Yes, directly and not indirectly. So when coming to your general forces, so I told you the general forces are the one which affects the business organization in total, not directly but indirectly. Yes, okay, not directly but indirectly. It will not affect you directly, it will not concentrate only on one particular business organization, it concentrates on the whole. Okay, so the examples for this are the things which comes under your general forces are: one is social environment, cultural environment, political environment, legal, technological. So all these condition will have indirect impact, not direct impact. Yes, so if it is because of consumer, then it is a direct impact to the business organization. It will impact directly to the business organization. But when coming to general forces, it will have indirect impact on the business organization. So the third one was interrelated. So under interrelated, I told you that the different elements or parts of the business environment are closely interrelated. So there is interrelatedness in the business environment. So each and every dimensions of the business environment is totally interrelated. So the next one was dynamic nature. I told you that business environment is totally dynamic in nature. It keeps changing. So whether in terms of technological improvements or in the taste and preference of the customer or competition or anything, it keeps changing. It is not static, it keeps changing. Okay, the next one was uncertainty. So the business environment, as it is totally dynamic in nature, so it consists of uncertainties. Okay, so as it is very difficult to predict future happening, so you can't exactly predict what will happen in the future. You can just assume the things which can happen, so you can't totally know what is going to happen in the future. Okay, so especially when the environment is changing frequently, then it becomes very difficult to take up a proper decision regarding this. Okay, the next one was complexity. So when coming to complexity, I told you that since business environment consists of numerous interrelated and dynamic conditions, since environment consists of numerous interrelated and dynamic conditions, the forces which arise from different sources, it becomes difficult to comprehend at once what exactly constitutes a given environment. So in other words, it can be said that environment is complex. It is a complex phenomenon that is relatively easier to understand in parts, but while taking as a total, it is really difficult. It is difficult to understand while it is taken in total. While you take the things in total, it is difficult to understand. The last one was relativity. When coming to relativity, it is said that the business environment is totally a relative concept. The reason why it is said that it is a relative concept is that it differs from one country to another country. For this, I had given an example of USA and India. That is the condition of USA is totally different from that of India. The political condition maybe or any other condition, it is totally different in different countries. Okay, so the next concept, we will move to the next concept, that is importance of business organization. Okay, so under importance of business organization, you have 6 points. Yes, before going to this importance of business organization, or before going with the points of business what points of importance of business organization. So human beings and business, whichever it is, it does not exist in isolation. So if the business organization has to carry out its business, if the business organization has to carry out its business, then it has to carry out its business in the place where there are people. Okay, yes, so it can't be done in isolation area. That is why it is said that the business maybe or the human beings do not exist in isolation. Okay, so it has to exist, the business organization has to exist, it has to survive, it has to grow. Yes, okay, so for this reason, the organization, that is the business enterprise, has to see that it has a very good market. Okay, so there is a context within which the element or the exists or survival or the growth of business organization has to take place. So while an individual firm is able to do little to change or control these forces. Yes, so human being, like I told you, they have little control, or they, you can say that there is no, the person who does not have any control on the business environment. You can have little or no control on the business business environment, not the business organization, but the business environment. Okay, so it does not have any control over the changes. Okay, so it has no alternative to responding or adopting according to them. You don't have any alternative as well. So a good understanding of environment by business managers enables them not only identify and evaluate, but also to react to the forces external to their firm. So it is very important that the person who is a manager should have a good understanding or knowledge about the environment. So this enables him to identify and evaluate and react to the external forces. Okay, so we'll go on with the first point. The first point is it enables the firm to identify opportunities and getting the first mover advantage. It enables the firm to identify opportunity and getting the first mover advantage. So opportunity refers to the positive external trends. Opportunities, it refers to the positive external trends or changes that will help a firm to improve its performance. That will help a firm to improve its performance. So opportunity is nothing but positive reaction or a positive improvement in the business organization, or a positive change that will help a firm to improve its performance. Okay, so environment provides numerous opportunities for the business organization. So environment, when it provides numerous opportunities to the business organization, so what you have to do is like the earlier identification of opportunities has to be made. Okay, so what you do is like when you have opportunities, just like you, there are other people who are waiting for opportunities. Yes, there are other people who are waiting for opportunities. So what you have to do is like you will have to identify that opportunity. Yes, okay, so when you have numerous amount of opportunities, you will have to identify that opportunities early, and this helps. Yes, this helps an enterprise to be the first to exploit them to them instead of losing them to the competitors. So if there are 10 competitors, you have different opportunities. So what you do is like you should see that you are taking the opportunity. So you are using that particular opportunity available in the market. You are the one to exploit that particular opportunity. Okay, so if at all you don't use that particular opportunity, then there are chances that the other competitor, yes, your other competitor may use that particular opportunity. For example, see, Maruti Suzuki, it became the leader in small car market because it was the first to recognize the need of small cars in the environment of raising petroleum prices and a large middle class population in India. So India has a huge amount of middle class people. So all can't go on with a huge costly vehicles. Yes, ellargu costly vehicles hogokagodilla, but everyone will have an intention of buying a car. Yes, they will have a desire of buying a car. So what Maruti Udyog Limited or Maruti Suzuki did is it brought change in the market by recognizing the needs of the middle class people or recognizing the needs of small cars. See, for example, if you have a small car, yes, if you have a small car, it is easy in every manner. One is it gives a good mileage. Yes, the second one is as the space or the car is small, you a small amount of space is enough for you to park the vehicle anywhere. Okay, and the third one is it will not be that costly when it is compared with the other vehicles. Okay, so what they did is they brought medium class vehicles, that is small class vehicles, which will cater to the needs of all the people. One is to the one who are waiting for small cars, and the second one is to the middle class people. So there was an opportunity. So what Maruti Udyog Limited did is they found that opportunity. They saw that there are no cars, that is small cars in the Indian market. Yes, there are no small cars in the Indian market. So all you can see is big cars. So what they did is they plan to produce cars, that is small cars, yes, which will help the middle class population. So India has the good a very good amount of middle class population. So when the cars are produced at a cost of 4 to 5 lakhs, then it becomes easy for a middle class person to buy that. Okay, on the other hand, if the car is produced at 15 to 20 lakhs, then it becomes very difficult for a middleman or a middle class person to buy that particular vehicle. It becomes difficult. So on the other hand, even a rich person buys that. Why? Because it is convenient for him to travel in the small cars. When it comes to parking and other things, it is very easy. Okay, the second one is it helps the firm to identify threats and early warning signals. It helps a firm to identify threats and early warning signal. So the first point, it was opportunity. The second one, it is threat. So threat refers to the external environment trends and changes. Threat refers to the external environment trends and changes that will hinder a firm's performance. So besides opportunities, environment happens to be the source of many threats. Not only the opportunities, but also the environment will have certain threats. The person who is a manager has to see that the threats in the organizations is totally reduced. So The environmental awareness can help manager to identify various threats on time and serve as an early warning signal. So environmental awareness can help managers to identify various threats on time, and serve as an early warning signal, here. Okay, so for example, so when a multinational company is entering Indian market, when a MNC or a multinational company is entering Indian market, then what has to be do is like the Indian market, it has to take up certain measures. So if Indian firms finds that the foreign multinational company is entering the market with new substitutes, yes, obviously it will not come barehanded, so it will come as a substitute for many products. Okay, so when they come with substitutes, it should act as a warning signal. So that is a warning signal for the one who are producing in India. Yes. Okay, so when a foreign company comes to India with substitutes, then it is a warning signal for Indian product. So on the basis of this information, what a Indian firm can do is like they can prepare themselves to meet the threat by adopting such measures as improving the quality of product, maybe, or reducing the quality of production, or engaging in aggressive advertising, and so on. So when a foreign company comes to India with the substitutes, there are chances that the what demand for our product may reduce. So in order to see that the demand for our product is not reducing totally, what you can do is like you can improve the quality of the product. So quality of product can be improved, or the cost of production can be reduced, or you can carry on with aggressive what advertising, where you grasp the attention of a good amount of customers. Okay, and so on. All this can be done by a Indian company, yes, when it identifies threats. When it comes to know that there is a threat in the market, then this is what an Indian company can do. Okay, the third one is it helps in tapping useful resources. So environment, it is a source for various resources, or it is a source of various resources for running a business. So when you run a business, you go on for each and every resources which is required by you. The best source of all these resources is the environment. So to engage in any type of activity, a business enterprise requires resource. Yes, to engage in any kind of activity, the business enterprise, it requires resource. So what it does is it assembles various resources called as inputs. Yes, it may be man, material, machine, that is finance, machine, raw materials, powers, water, labor, yes, all this thing. Okay, so and its environment including financiers, government, and supply. So they they decide to provide these resources with their own expectation to get something in return from the enterprise. So when you take something from the environment, that is for your business enterprise, when you take the input from the environment, when you take the input from the environment, so the environment will be expecting something in return. Yes, they decide to provide these resources for their own expectation to get something in return from the enterprise. So when the environment is providing the resource required by the enterprise, then obviously the environment will expect something in return from the enterprise. So business enterprise supplies the environment with its outputs. Yes, business environment, it supplies the what environment with its outputs such as goods and services for the customer. So when it takes goods from or the raw materials from the environment, in return the business organization is providing goods and services to the customers. It is paying tax to the government, return on financial investment to investors, and so on. Yes, when it is taking up the resource, when it is using raw material, When it is using raw material from the economy or the environment, it is giving something in return to the environment. Yes, in terms of goods and services to the customer, or payment of tax, or return on investment to the investors, and so on. Okay, so because the enterprise depends on environment, as a source of input or resource, and as an outlet for outputs. Okay, so this environment acts both as an input, or it provides what a major part of inputs required by the business organization. It has a bundle of resources. So what a business organization does is it collects the resource from the environment, and on the other hand, what it does is once the goods are produced, what an organization does is it expects the same environment to be the outlet for sale of goods. Okay, so before producing the goods, what you do is like you take up all the resources which are required by you to produce things or for production, yes, from the environment. ಎಸ್ ಎನ್ವೈರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ನ ನೀವೇನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ, ಏನು ಗೂಡ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಸರ್ವಿಸಸ್ ಬೇಕು ಅಥವಾ ಏನು ರಾ ಮೆಟೀರಿಯಲ್ಸ್ ಬೇಕು ಅದನ್ನು ನಾಟ್ ಗೂಡ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಸರ್ವಿಸಸ್ ಬಟ್ ರಾ ಮೆಟೀರಿಯಲ್ಸ್ ಬೇಕು ಅದನ್ನು ನೀವೇನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ, ಎನ್ವೈರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ನ ತಗೋತೀರಿ. ಸೊ ಆಫ್ಟರ್ ಟೇಕಿಂಗ್ ಅಪ್ ದಿ ರಾ ಮೆಟೀರಿಯಲ್ಸ್ನ ತಗೊಂಡಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ, ಏನು ರಾ ಮೆಟೀರಿಯಲ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಆದಮೇಲೆ ಯು ಯೂಸ್ ದ ಸೇಮ್ ಎನ್ವೈರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆ್ಯಸ್ ಆ್ಯನ್ ಔಟ್ಲೆಟ್. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಏನು ಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಇದೆ ಅಥವಾ ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀರಿ ಅದನ್ನು ಸೇಲ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅದೇ ಸೇಮ್ ಎನ್ವೈರ್ಮೆಂಟನ್ನು ಔಟ್ಲೆಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋತೀರಿ. ಯು ಯೂಸ್ ದಿ ಎನ್ವೈರ್ಮೆಂಟ್, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ಎನ್ವೈರ್ಮೆಂಟ್, ಟು ಸೆಲ್ ದಿ ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ವಿಚ್ ಇಸ್ produced by you. Okay, so it only makes sense that enterprise designs policies that allows it to get the resource that it needs, so that can be converted. So what an organization has to do is like the organization should see that it is producing the things which is required by the community or by the environment. So when it is using the resource available in the environment, it is the duty of an organization. It is a duty of an organization to see that. It is a duty of an organization to see that it is producing the goods according to the requirement of the environment. So environment to the requirement ಏನಿದೆ, ಸೊ ಆ environment to the requirement ಏನಿದೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ತಕ್ಕಂತೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ, ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ಡನ್ ಬೆಟರ್ ಬೈ ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡಿಂಗ್ ವಾಟ್ ದ environment has to offer. The next one is it helps in coping with rapid changes. So today's business environment, as you know, is totally increasing, or it is getting increasingly dynamic, where the changes are taking place at a very fast pace. Okay, the changes are taking place at a fast pace. So it is not a fact of change itself. It is not the fact of change itself that is so important as a pace of change. So the market condition may be, or less brand loyalty, division and subdivision division of market, that is fragmentation of market, so more demanding customers, rapid changes in competition are just a few of images used to describe today's business environment. So it is totally dynamic. So particularly in today's situation, because of excess of competitors or rapid changes in taste and preference of the customer or anything, yes, so these are the things which are used to describe the today's business environment. So all sizes and all types of enterprises are facing increasingly dynamic environment. Yes, all the organizations are facing increasingly a dynamic environment which is fluctuating. So in order to effectively cope up these significant changes, managers must understand and examine the environment and develop suitable courses of action. So what a manager has to do is like he has to identify the things which are happening in the business environment. So business environment ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಯ್ತಿದೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಏನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜರ್ ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. He will have to understand what is happening in the business environment, and then he will have to take certain necessary measures. In order to reduce those problems that arise in the business organization. It is, you'll have to take certain course of action or develop certain course of action. Okay, the next one is it helps in assisting in planning and policy formulation. It helps in assisting in planning and policy formulation. Okay, so the environment, it is a source of both, like I told you, both opportunity and threat. You can't expect only opportunities from the environment. You will have both opportunity as well as the threat from the environment. So it is a source of both opportunity and threat for a business enterprise. So its understanding and analysis can be the basis for deciding the future course of action. So the manager in the organization, he will have to understand and analyze, and then he can take or decide a future course of action. Or training guidelines for decision making can be done in a proper manner only by understanding the situation of the market. Okay, so for instance, the entry of new players in the market, which means more competition, may make an enterprise think afresh about how to deal with the situation. Yes, I told you, when a new player enters into the market, yes, which makes more competition. Yes, when a new person or a new player or a new producer, yes, enters the market, yes, then what happens? There is a competition. So what an enterprise has to do is, like, it will have to think afresh about how to deal with that particular situation. So when you have a new competitor in the market, you'll have to think about how to deal with that particular situation. Okay, the last one is it helps in improving performance. It helps in improving performance. Okay, so the final reason for understanding business environment relates to whether or not it really makes difference in the performance of enterprise. So obviously you can say that the business environment will make certain change or difference in the business environment. With business environment will certainly make a difference in the business enterprise. So any changes in business environment will bring change in the business enterprise. So the answer is that it does not appear to make, it does appear to make a difference. So many studies reveal that future of an enterprise is closely bound with what is happening in the environment. So it is closely bound with what is happening in the environment. So if there are any slight changes in the environment, will have impact on the business enterprise. Yeah, so the enterprise that continuously monitor their environment and adopt suitable business practices are the ones which not only improve their present performance but also continue to succeed in the market for a long period. So, a business organization which monitors the environment, the organization which monitors the environment continuously and adopt suitable business practices. So according to the business environment, yes, a business organization which continuously keeps eye on the environment and which takes certain necessary steps or suitable business practices can improve its present performance. Not only improving the present performance, but also it can continue to succeed in the market for a long period. Yes, okay, so any changes, like I told you, any changes in the business environment will obviously affect or will bring certain difference in the business enterprise. So business enterprise will get affected by the changes in business environment.